I feel like it's been so long, and I've been really, really eager for this lecture. So I'm hoping that everyone enjoys it. First and foremost, we have to recite our Mangalacharna to give ourselves a little strength. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So as I said, this was a lecture that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and just really eagerly awaiting. So this lecture was entitled Murlidar is Calling You. We have spoken about so many spiritual personalities, as we'll do today. We're going to speak about many, many spiritual personalities, but I thought it would be very, very nice to speak about the wonderful deity who is gracing New York proper, Sri Murlidar. We don't often speak about Murlidar. We've spoken about Govindadev, we've spoken about Madan Mohan, Gopinath, and so many deities. But who is Murlidar for us? Who was Murlidar for our spiritual preceptors and predecessors? Murlidar is incredibly important for us. So, in fact, I found a letter in 1974, September of 1974, where Srila Prabhupada puts in writing the names of the deities. He sends this letter to Cleveland. He says these deities should be named Shri Shri Radha Murlidar. So, now in 1974, in September, we can remember that this was their naming anniversary for these deities that have now made their way to New York, have been gracing us through thick and thin, through superstorms and hurricanes and tropical storms and snow blizzards and everything else, and devotee blizzards, etc. They have been blessing us and gracing us with their sweet faces and their kind faces. So this lecture is going to be a little bit mostly about Murlidar. My sister was reading to me 2 Ekadashis ago about the importance of Murlidar, and I couldn't help but think I need to tell all of the devotees at the Bhakti Center what I've just heard. So from a book called Mathura Meets Vrindavan by His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Because this is a Srimad Bhagavatam lecture, we should have some Srimad Bhagavatam, don't you think? So this is the translation and purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Text 16. No, Chapter 16, Text 24. So Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 16, 24. Thus, Jamadagni, being worshipped by Lord Parshuram, was brought back to life with full remembrance, and he became one of the 7 sages in the group of 7 stars. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 7 stars revolving around the pole star at the zenith are called Saptarishi Mandala. On these 7 stars, which form the topmost part of our planetary system, reside the 7 sages, Kashyap, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Gautam, Jamadagni, and Bharadwaj. These 7 stars are seen every night, and they each make a complete orbit around the pole star within 24 hours. Along with these 7 stars, all the other stars also orbit from east to west. The upper portion of the universe is called north, and the lower portion is called the south. Even in our ordinary dealings, while studying a map, we regard the upper portion of the map as north. Okay, why am I reading you this? Like, what does any of this have to do with anything? It seems like a real far tangent, right? Okay, bear with me. Now Gaur Govinda Maharaj gives his commentary. The only thing that Srila Prabhupada talks about in this purport is stars. But still a question arises. Every night the 7 stars can be seen. They all orbit around the pole star, Dhruva. They are not seen in the daytime, because in the daytime there is sunshine. They are only seen in the darkness. There is a philosophical point here. Some persons want darkness. For those who only want to see the pole star, the sunshine creates a hindrance for them. But what is the message of the Bhagavat? In the Bhagavat, you will find that every jiva is unhappy. He is distressed and wants happiness. Sometimes he gets some little temporary fleeting happiness, but he is not satisfied with it. In his heart, he wants constant, unbroken happiness. That happiness, that ananda, is known as Brahmananda. Knowingly or unknowingly, everyone wants that Brahmavastu, real, spiritual object, Parabrahma, the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. Some are searching directly, and some are searching indirectly. A conditioned jiva does not know how to search for him. Therefore, all the Vedic literatures and Vedic acharyas have shown the path. The Satchidananda Ganavastu, the eternally conscious and blissful reality, is Bhagavan Krishna. The Shastras and acharyas say that if you engage in his bhajan, Krishna bhajan, and you get him, then you will get eternal happiness, bliss, and peace. One who is fortunate can understand this. If he engages himself constantly in Bhagavat bhajan, following the instructions of sadhu, shastra, guru, following in the footsteps of the mahajans, he will get Krishna and will have constant bliss and peace. But those who are ill-fated, who don't know how to do bhajan, they are all floating and suffering in this dreadful ocean of material existence. The material world is full of such persons. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared here upon the advent of Kali Yuga. Now this, normally, we have Kali Yuga in a sentence, we don't sound so enthusiastic, but there's something about the advent of Srimad Bhagavatam that makes me feel like this is a cause for celebration, right? It is the bright spot, the spotless Purana, our sunshine in the midst of such a dark realm and a dark time, something that is so spiritually frustrating. And that is one thing that I can say for sure about Kali Yuga. It is spiritually, materially, emotionally frustrating. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared here, where there is an ocean of disqualification. Here in this place where there's nothing but darkness. And yet Srimad Bhagavatam chose to appear here, in this time, with us, for us. The Bhagavad carries a completely new message for the jivas of Kali Yuga. All of the Shastras instruct us to do Bhagavad Bhajan, but the Bhagavatam says something more than that. The Bhagavatam says, hey jiva, you have no ability to do bhajan. You have no qualification to call him Krishna. The Bhagavatam says, open your ears. Listen to me. How will you call him? You should listen to how he is calling you. His heart is splitting for you. You are not crying for him. He is crying for you. He is calling you. Okay, now I'm going to read this again. Because think about this. We often think, we hear about crying for Krishna. We hear about calling out for Krishna's mercy. But did we ever stop to think that maybe Krishna was calling and crying for us? Here we have some wonderful Vedic authority telling us that Krishna is personally crying for us. The Bhagavatam says, open your ears. Listen to me. How will you call him? You should listen to how he is calling you. His heart is splitting for you. If you remember nothing else today, we can remember that Krishna's heart is breaking for us. Krishna is watching us through everything that we go through, and his heart is splitting for us. You are not crying for him. He is crying for you. He is calling you. That, by itself, was one of the most beautiful points I had ever heard. Give me 1 second as my computers and cameras seem to be malfunctioning. Got it. Okay. Are we ready? Here's the part. Here's the reason why. Right? Why are we talking about stars and calling and crying and splitting and all of these things? I promised that I would speak about Murlidar. The deity of the Bhagavat is Murlidar Krishna. Murlidar Krishna is holding his flute and calling you. Come to me. Come to me. Come to me. Are you listening? Have you ears? Sarva Bhuta Manoharam. Krishna's flute captivates the minds of all living entities. You cannot call him. Therefore, he is calling you. You cannot go to him. Therefore, he comes to you. He comes down to this material world to you, holding a flute. Mohan Vamsurya. He is calling you. This is the most wonderful message of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavat says, who am I? Nigama Kalpataror Galita Phala. I am the most ripened, sweetest, nectarian, juicy fruit of the Vedic tree. So the Bhagavat has appeared here, and Murlidar Krishna, leaving Golok Vrindavan, has come down here to the Golok of Brajbhumi on the bank of the Jamuna Kalindi. This message fills all the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is also here on this page, but you cannot see it. You only see the 7 stars and the pole star being discussed here, nothing else. Where is this message here? A blind man cannot see it. This message is throughout the Bhagavat, on every page. So this is our mission, should we choose to accept it. On every page of Srimad Bhagavatam, within every lecture of Srimad Bhagavatam that has been going on for years now, here online and live in person, can we hear Murlidar playing his flute and calling to us saying, come to me, come to me? Or do we simply see that sometimes there's the pole star and 7 stars being discussed? Sometimes there's politics being discussed. Sometimes there are different avatars being discussed, but can we actually see that Murlidar Krishna has advented as the deity of the Bhagavat, the deity of Srimad Bhagavatam, to call us because maybe we can't call to him. Maybe we have no strength. Maybe we have no qualification to call Krishna. So Krishna decides to take matters into his own hands. He will call us himself. We just need to search for it. The demoness Putana came, smearing a very dreadful poison on her breast to kill baby Krishna. She had such an ill motive. But Krishna is so merciful. The Bhagavatam describes, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Krishna is so merciful that he gave her the position of mother. You will never find in any country, at any time, in any Granth, any Shastra, such a merciful Lord as Shri Krishna. This is the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Man wants Bhagavan, but the message of the Bhagavat is that Bhagavan wants man. Bhakta is crying for Bhagavan, but much sweeter and more beautiful than that is this. Bhagavan is crying for Bhakta. Imagine, as eager as we are supposed to be to chant the holy name, Krishna is that much more eager to hear from us, crying just to hear us, just to have us back. And we are too busy. I often find myself too busy. I often find myself too caught up. I have too many responsibilities. I have too many obligations. I have too much that I've done today, Krishna. I kind of just want to turn my mind off. Krishna doesn't turn his mind off. Krishna doesn't turn his heart off and just need to veg out. He's constantly thinking about his devotees. He's constantly thinking of us, having our best interests at heart. And yet we can't find it within ourselves to find some time for our dear Krishna. If all of our sins being cleared away, if all of our miseries being cleared away is not enough, if the holy name giving us the unlimited, unparalleled, much sought after happiness is not enough, then I hope that this will be enough. The fact that Krishna is crying for us. Yes, we cry for Krishna, but as Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj says, much sweeter, much more wondrous, much more magical is that Krishna is crying for us. More wonderful than us crying for Krishna is that the Supreme Person is crying for us. All it takes is just a little of our attention. Srila Prabhupada would often say, you take one step toward Krishna, Krishna will take 100, 1,000, 1,000,000. Increase the zeros as you wish. Krishna will take that many steps toward us. And yet, we think we are too busy to take even one step. Krishna will make it easy. Fine, take half a step. Just even think about taking a step. Krishna will meet us more than halfway. Even if we think about the 1%, Krishna will make up the difference. How long must Krishna beg us to think of him before we finally decide, okay, Krishna, I give in. I give in. I was hearing so many wrestling stories about Krishna and all of the residents of Brajbhumi. And one point was made that, when you have someone in a chokehold long enough, or in a hold long enough, finally they tap out. I'm done. And so Krishna would often lose to his devotees, tapping out in such a way. But when will we finally tap out? Saying, okay, Krishna, you've got us in the strongest hold possible. There's no way we can escape you. No way now that I even want to escape you. I tap out. I surrender. I give up. I hope and pray to reach this point soon. Because the longer that I decide to try and do things myself, the more miserable I am. When will I understand that doing things my way has been making me miserable? It has been the absolute cause of misery. And yet and still, I keep thinking, well, I haven't tried this way yet. But Krishna is calling to us. Murlidar is calling to us. Murlidar Krishna has left his abode. They say that Krishna is all attractive. But how? Krishna attracts everyone, but how? By playing his flute. By being Dvibhuj, Murlidhara, Sham Sundar. This is the form that was held most dear to the residents of Vrindavan, which we hear from the pages of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which we hear from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is our goal. Hidden, sneakily, in there, is Murlidhar Krishna peeking out from us, peeking out at us from every page of Bhagavatam. Otherwise, how could we have Bhishma, a seasoned warrior, a leader, a general, and at the very end of his life, he sneaks in. If only he could have some of the affection and love and familiarity, like those girls in Vrindavan. They weren't studying, they weren't learning politics and warcraft. They were being simple-hearted village girls. This is how Krishna sneaks his way in. This is how Murlidhar peeks at us from every page of Srimad Bhagavatam. We just have to be hungry, thirsty, eager to see it, to hear it, to want it. Krishna, I want to see you. Where can we find Krishna? In every single Bhagavatam lecture. Even when it seems as though they might not be talking about Murlidhar. Where is Murlidhar? And with that faith that Murlidhar will show himself, if I just ask sincerely enough, Murlidhar will show himself to all of us. We'll see miracles on every single page. So, our saints and acharyas have put forth the question. Yes, Krishna is all attractive, which means he attracts everyone, but how? How? Well, he attracts everyone with a flute. But still deeper, how? How? There was a very beautiful story that Sachinandan Maharaj recently spoke about that stuck in my mind, about Janavamata, the wife, consort, internal Shakti and potency of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. We'll be speaking about Panchatattva a lot for the rest of this lecture. So the wonderful consort of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Janava Devi, spent about 3 days at Radhakund in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And recently we were celebrating Bahulastami, which is one of 2 festivals that now celebrates Radhakund. And so she was at Radhakund, and one day around noontime, she heard the sound of a flute. And she looked across the banks of this kund, this lake, and on the other side, she could see Krishna. Wonderful, dark, swarthy complexion, golden dhoti, brilliantly effulgent, with Radharani at his side. And astonishingly enough, when she heard the sound of the flute, no one else could hear it. Just her. Why is that? Our saints and acharyas tell us that it is because Krishna was playing a melody that only she could hear. A melody just for her. So how is Murlidar calling to us? Well, because as the holder and player of the flute, Krishna has a melody for every single one of us. One that only we can hear. It is said that when Krishna would call his cows home, he would start off by calling the different groups of cows. And the cows would moo back, lovingly. Some cows were very, very smart and clever, and they would not answer. And I know I've spoken about this before, but it's so sweet not to mention again. These cows would not call back because they knew if they delayed their response, Krishna, his mind would get wrapped up in thinking of those specific cows. And then, from his lips would come their very own names. He would personally call out to each cow, "O Gange, O Hamsi." And finally that cow would call back. They were just waiting to hear their own names from Krishna's mouth. So we can be like those cows. We can say, "Oh Krishna, I know you've been calling out to groups of devotees for many, many lifetimes, and I haven't answered." And we can make ourselves feel a little bit better about not answering. I was just waiting to hear to hear my name from your voice. There are sometimes you reach a level of notoriety somehow, where people say something like, "Oh, I just wish one time you would say my name." And sometimes I often think whenever you see celebrities and I hear that request, I tend to think, what's that going to do? Because even if the celebrity says, "Hello, so-and-so," they still don't know you. They've only said your name. Here I feel is the transcendental origin of that desire. Why do we desire to hear our name from the lips of someone famous? Well, because ultimately the soul desires to hear our names from the lips of the most famous person in all of creation. The difference is, when Krishna personally calls us, Krishna knows us through and through, better than we know ourselves. And Krishna cares about us when he calls us, playing a flute melody that is specially made for us. A melody that only we can hear. Now we heard also from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna's instructions are always for the greatest good of everyone, and they apply to everyone throughout all time, forwards and backwards. So, if Krishna had a melody that only Janava Mata could hear, one picked out specifically for her, then we should know that this applies to every single living entity, each one of us. Krishna has a flute song, specially prepared for each one of us. One that only we will hear. But as Gaur Govinda Maharaj asks, do we have ears? Have we the ears to hear it? Maybe not yet. But every day, listening to this Srimad Bhagavatam, dressing the deity of the Bhagavat within our minds, Sri Murlidar, gazing at his wonderful face, maybe we can develop the ears to hear how Krishna is calling us, how Krishna is crying for us, how Murlidar's heart is splitting for us. This is the message of Bhagavatam. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj says that Bhagavatam is filled with so many jivas. They say, "I'm so unhappy. How can I become happy?" Conversely, this message of the Bhagavatam is now Bhagavan saying, "I'm so unhappy." And because Krishna knows everything, he knows how he can become happy again. All Krishna desires for his happiness is for us to reestablish our relationship again. It's like the person who just cannot accept the breakup. Right? I know that we should be able to fix this. Somehow we were good before. How did we get to this place where we're not good now? There must be some way that we can fix this broken relationship. This is Krishna working tirelessly to fix our broken relationship. A relationship that somehow we don't even remember. But it was always there. Inherent. Rightfully ours. And Krishna somehow doesn't even make us work hard for it, even though it feels like we are being tested. I'll speak about that in a second. Krishna doesn't actually make us work hard for it. Not as hard as we think. We are usually fighting ourselves. We made the executive decision. I want to go to a place where I can rule everything. Right? We were like Simba. Just can't wait to be king. No problem. I need to be in charge. Krishna, in his infinite kindness, says, well, that place is not Goloka Vrindavan. It's only one boss. But there can be a new place where you can try and be in charge. The problem is that is a job that needs a supreme divine level of capabilities and qualifications. Spoiler alert, we don't have those qualifications or capabilities. And so we constantly find ourselves miserable. Then thinking, Krishna, how could you? Why would you put me here in this situation? Poor Krishna is I'm just giving you what you asked for. What we have asked for time and again. I need this, I need this, I need this. Sometimes you have a child and I need it. And you think, but that's not good for you and the child, but I need this. There's no way you can talk the child out of it. And then finally you give them what they've asked for. Now, this is horrible. I don't want this. How could you? Yeah, that's us. We are the spoiled child. We desired so much of what was not good for us. Krishna finally caved in and gave us what we thought we wanted. And then most times we turn around and then blame him for giving us the thing that we said we wanted. And so now Krishna spends so much of his time calling us back. There's one section of Mahabharata where it speaks about Krishna says he was in anxiety, thinking about how he would work things out for Arjuna. If that isn't the single most sweet thing, whenever we are in trouble, whenever we have no idea how a situation will work out for us in life, we can think about that Krishna who is in anxiety, also with us, wondering, how will I make my devotee's life work? This is God. God is not aloof. God is not simply sitting somewhere judging, there you get what you deserve, and you get what you deserve, and you get what you deserve. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna actually does not like to do that at all. He doesn't like that job. And so he hands over all of those jobs to Maya Devi. Here, Maya Devi, you act as mother, you can give them the discipline. And Krishna, as Supreme Father, just wants to give all the affection. This is Krishna. This is our Lord. This is Murlidhar, who holds a flute, constantly reminding us, I have a melody just for you. Can you hear it? I'm playing just for you. Having a conversation individually, just with you. Can we hear it? I want to make that the goal of my life. To find some way to hear Krishna's melody that is just for me. They once asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you are Krishna, where is your flute? He says, well, here's my flute. He motioned to the mridanga. And they said, yes. But what is the sound of this flute? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asserted that the sound of Krishna's flute within Kali Yuga is none other than the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can I chant it and hear Murlidar's flute playing? Can we hear the sound of Gaurachandra's flute? So I urge you all, if you are not in New York, make your way to New York, because Murlidar is calling you, clearly. Find a way to attend some festival there and look at Murlidar and know that he's playing just for you. Look at Gaurachandra and know that the sound of Gaurachandra's flute playing is this Mahamantra playing specifically for you. Now I'll end with tests. I was going to tell more than one, but I'll end with tests because the testing is what we're most concerned about, isn't it? Like, it's what we go through the most. And because I like to end with something that is infinitely sweet, this will have some sweetness in it. And then maybe I'll try and end with 2 stories. That's going to put me over time. And I beg the devotees to bear with me. But on Ekadashi, in the month of Kartik, I can't help myself. So the first story is about Virabhadra, also known as Virachandra. If any of us have looked at our calendar, we just passed his appearance day. Right? Anyone kind of look through the calendar and there's so many different personalities and what's happening, and they're all appearing and disappearing and so many things are happening, right? So who is this Virabhadra? The story is quite an interesting one and involves a devotee by the name of Abhiram Thakur. Abhiram Thakur was undoubtedly one of the most prominent followers of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So much so that he has his own biography of activities called Abhiram Lilamrita. And so these stories are also told by Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Abhiram Thakur had so many amazing qualities. He was such a powerful personality that we are saying Krishna is calling us, but really he would oftentimes test Krishna. They would say he had the incredible ability to test Shalagram Shilas. A Shila is a devotional, empowered stone from the town of Shalagram and from the river nearby the town of Shalagram. And so these are said to be self-manifested, ready-made deities. No installation needed. Almost sounds like an appliance, but still, no installation needed. God is directly there, right? Lord Vishnu and all of his potency is directly within that Shila. Nothing needed. And so it is said that Abhiram would often pay obeisances to these Shalagram Shilas, and if they were not authentic, the Shila would crack and split into pieces, mystically. This is how powerful Abhiram Thakur was. He was also formerly the Gopa, Sridham, who was great friends with Krishna and Balaram. So this Abhiram Thakur was incredibly powerful and potent. And so one day, he met with Nityananda Prabhu on the banks of the Ganga, near the home of Nityananda Prabhu. Nitai offered Abhiram a seat. They embraced and both of them sat down. Nitai said, "Oh, brother Abhiram, what is your desire? Why have you come to my home?" Abhiram said, "Oh, Nitai, I want to see your son." Hearing this, Lord Nityananda became very happy. However, when Nityananda Prabhu showed him his newborn son, Abhiram offered obeisances to the child. and the child immediately died. That's a problem. When Nityananda Prabhu and his wives, Vasudha and Janava, heard the news, they fainted. Nityananda then placed the body of the child in the Ganga and they all took bath. Sometime later, another child was born, and again Abhiram Thakur came. As before, when Abhiram offered his obeisances, the child died. Everyone was astonished, thinking, what is this Abhiram's purpose? In this way, every time a child was born, Abhiram would come and offer obeisances, and the child would die. Now talk about tests. Right? Although Nityananda Prabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, still, while acting out his human-like pastimes, he externally became very unhappy seeing all of his sons die. This is an incredible test. Why would God himself go through tests? Because it's the material world. No one is exempt, even the Supreme Person. As we come up upon Diwali and we hear about the return home of Sri Ram, his entire life was fraught with test after test and obstacle after obstacle. And this is the Supreme Person, showing what it means to be a perfect person. The perfection means you're going to have a lot of obstacles. So many obstacles. And the more perfect you are, somehow the more obstacles there are. So Nityananda Prabhu has somehow lost all of his sons. Nitai thought to himself, if Abhiram does not come to my home, then my child will live. So therefore, when the next child was born, Nityananda Prabhu invited many guests for a festive occasion, but he did not invite Abhiram Thakur. Seeing that Abhiram was not there, Advaita Acharya inquired from Nityananda, why have you not invited Abhiram? Nitai replied, Abhiram has made me bereft of sons, so I will not invite him. I've told all of the boatmen even not to bring him across the Ganga in their boats. During the time of the festival for the birth of Nityananda Prabhu's latest son, Abhiram and his wife Malini were staying at Krishnagar. Vakreshwar Pandit came to see him. Everyone said, oh, we are going for the festival at Nitai's house. Nitai is performing a festival on the occasion of the birth of his son. You are the Pradhan Gopal, the leader of the cowherd boys. So all of Nityananda Prabhu's followers were called Gopals, or cowherd boys. You are the Pradhan, the chief of all of the Gopals. Is he inviting you or not? Abhiram laughed and said, oh, no, he is not inviting me. Vakreshwar then humbly told Abhiram, without your presence, the ceremony cannot be performed. Although he is not inviting you, you should still go. Abhiram said, how can I go without an invitation? Malini then said, Abhiram is a rakwal, a cowherd boy. Such cowherders have no abhiman or false ego, and therefore, Abhiram is not finding any fault with Nityananda Prabhu. But how could anyone find fault with Nityananda Prabhu? So Abhiram then told Vakreshwar, okay, maybe I'll go there later. Abhiram conceived a plan. He started off saying, Gauda Hari Ki Jai, and went to the banks of the Ganga and said to the boatman, take me across, boatman. The boatman looked at Abhiram and said, who are you, sir? Give me your name and then I will start the journey. If I take the wrong person across, then Nityananda Prabhu will be very angry with me. Abhiram replied, why does he want to restrict a certain person from crossing the Ganga? The boatman said, Nityananda Prabhu is miserable and lamenting for his lost children. He told me, there is one person named Abhiram Thakur. He is very powerful. If he offers obeisances to my sons, then my son will surely die. Saying this, Nityananda Prabhu told me not to bring that person across. But I think you are the same Abhiram Thakur. Jai, Shri Radha Murlidar ki jai, Shri Gaura Chandra ki jai. See, Murlidar is calling you. Actively. So, now the boatman is in a quandary. The boatman says, I think you are this same Abhiram Thakur. Jai. Oh no, we lost the video and the sound.
Yeah,
Just
we
when I
can
thought.
continue to go. We can go on. We can go on.
Jai. So the boatman's in a quandary. If I take this wrong person across, then Nityananda Prabhu will be very angry with me. So what does the boatman do? The boatman says, I can't take you across. I don't even have a boat. He fills his boat with water until it sinks to the bottom of the Ganga, and therefore says, I can't take you across. I'm sorry. Abhiram goes to the next boatman, who does the same thing. Gradually, all of the boatmen sink their boats in the Ganga, and they say, I have nothing with which to take you across. I'm sorry, I can't take you. Abhiram Thakur then took some cloth and threw it in the river. That cloth floated. Sitting on one piece of cloth, floating in the Ganga, Abhiram crossed the river. Seeing this, the people became astonished, and they ran to tell Nityananda Prabhu. Although Nitai became worried, he took all of the priests who were present at the festival and went to meet Abhiram. Finally, when they came together, Abhiram embraced Nitai and all of the others with ecstatic love. Nitai brought Abhiram into his home, and Abhiram told him, I'm very hungry. Please give me some prasad. Nitai humbly gave him a seat in a room, and they all brought much prasad. Finally, seeing that he had eaten everything, Nitai said, Dandavats to your pastimes. Who can understand you? In Braj Leela, you are Sridham. Have you forgotten our loving relationship? In Braj, we all shared prasad together. But now, forgetting all of that, you are taking all of the prasad. You've eaten everything in our home. What sort of behavior is this, that you are taking all of the prasad and eating it for yourself? Abhiram listened and said, my nature is that of a cowherd boy. First I take, then I give to others. My behavior is that of Braj Bhumi. Knowing my nature and activities in Braj, how can you say I took all of the prasad? Go and look at your pots again. Nityananda Prabhu went to see the pots and found that double the original amount of prasad was there. Nitai then happily embraced Abhiram. Abhiram then said, please feed all of your guests. How incredible is this Abhiram Thakur, and how incredible is our Nitai? Taking time to celebrate his very own devotees. Finally, Abhiram Thakur said, Nitai, you have celebrated a festival for the birth of your son. What sort of son do you have? Please bring him, and I will offer obeisances to him. Hearing this, everyone became worried. Nityananda Prabhu's wives, Vasudha and Janava, approached Abhiram and humbly said, this time, please give protection to our child. Don't let us become criticized for not having a son. If you offer obeisances to our son, then he will die. Every time this is what has happened. If you do this again, then we will also die. Abhiram said, why are you fearing? You don't understand. I'm offering my obeisances to test the child. If he is Swayam Swarup, the Lord's personal manifestation, then he will survive my obeisances. Hearing Abhiram's words, Nityananda Prabhu became happy and brought his newest son before Abhiram. Abhiram Thakur offered his obeisances, and the child laughed. Abhiram became very happy and offered his obeisances a second and a third time, just to test the child. He saw that this child was Jagat Priya, dear to the entire universe. Abhiram took the child on his lap and began to dance. He then told all of the Mahants there, so that those who did not see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could again have the opportunity to see him. The Lord has reappeared in the form of Veerabhadra Prabhu. This is the son of Lord Nityananda, known as Veerabhadra, also called Veerachandra. And so they say that he is an expansion of Lord Sankarshan himself. As Shirdakshayi Vishnu, Veerabhadra Prabhu is the Swayam Swarup, the plenary expansion of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj has described, may Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, an ocean of milk, are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. I feel it fitting that we ended with some of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita because it was today, on Rama Ekadashi, that Srila Prabhupada completed his translating of the full Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Ekadashi Titi ki jai, Abhiram Thakur ki jai, Shri Radha Murlidhara ki jai. So,
thank you so much, Shruti Gopi. Would anyone like to ask a question? We can go a little bit over time. It's Ekadashi. Ekadashi means less rules, more surrender. Hemalata Radha, you have a question for Shruti Gopi? Or maybe a reflection? Something that stuck with you?
I just like to appreciate Chita Gopi's amazing way of sharing all this transcendental knowledge with us. It's been so wonderful, and it makes me, it creates a desire in me to keep reading and studying, because every time I hear her, I learn something new and a new story. And this one was just wonderful. Thank you so much, Chita Gopi. Thank you.
I think it's hard to believe that devotees like the Chita Gopi even exist. I'm surprised every time. Okay. Thank you very much for your association, dear Vaishnavas. Enjoy your Ekadashi, enjoy Krishna's flute, Krishna's song. Just get up and, Ananda Manjari Didi. Go ahead.
I'm really curious what happened to all the sons who left their bodies after their obeisances. Like, were they liberated and just went back home, back to Godhead? Or do you, like, is there anything known?
That's a good question. I'm going to look that up and get back to you.
Thank you.
It's actually a really good question.
Okay. All right. So, I have a question. So, if a person goes to hell, so Chita Gopi will need to talk to Yamaraj to find out their fate. But if they go back home, back to God, please keep on record. Who's the Chita Gopi going to
that's the scary part. I was actually just reading yesterday, and they said that a devotee is willing to go to hell, even in order to execute the order of Guru and Gauranga. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj says, to execute the order of Guru and Gauranga as it is, we can kick out anything. If it is required to go to hell, we are prepared to go there. We are prepared to go to hell, but we will not practice any sort of duplicity. Oh, why should I go to hell? I will accept some duplicity instead. I will manipulate something to overcome this danger here and that hurdle there. In this way, I will somehow advance. This is duplicity. Even if such a person goes all the way up to Brahma Loka, the planet where Lord Brahma stays, he cannot be delivered. He will fall down from that position very soon. But cultivating simplicity. If by chance someone goes to hell, then Guru and Gauranga will go to hell to deliver him. Therefore, it is said that Guru and Gauranga, Sadhu Guru and Mahajans, they are Patita Pavana, not Kapata Pavana. They are deliverers of the most degraded, but they are not deliverers of the crooked persons. So, we should not be afraid to even go to hell in order to follow the order of Guru and Gauranga, because if somehow we find our way over there, Guru will personally arrive there to lift us back up, to save us, as long as we have that simplicity in our hearts. The simplicity that says, oh my Lord, I need more of your affection. Oh my Lord, I haven't understood bhakti. That simplicity where Gaur Govinda Maharaj says a teacher will ask at the end of a grade, okay, has everyone understood? And most students will raise their hands, yes, I've understood. And the student who doesn't understand doesn't want to feel left out, so they think, should I just say yes? Simplicity means to say, no, I haven't understood. Even if it makes us look dull-headed or some sort of failing, I haven't understood. just to be honest with where we're at. Not to have to pretend to be a pure devotee at all times. Just to simply be honest and say, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to try. I'm willing to try. That simplicity will be the qualification for our full deliverance, no matter where we are.
Wow, that's a mic drop. That's a very nice way to end the class.
Isn't it?
I don't want to say go to hell.
It's a New York way, you know?
Yeshua Bhagavan Ki Jai, go to hell. Guru will come and pick you up. Yeah, but Achyuta Gopi, thank you so much for inspiring us to start where we are and walk to Krishna. Krishna will meet us halfway. I like that one. That's my takeaway. Yeah. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for your smiles, especially Krishna Daya Prabhu here, the smiling champion, the morning class. Bruce, thank you for driving safely. All right. Hemala Tavada, thank you for your smile and keeping your camera on.
Jai.
It's very nice. And thank you, dear devotees, for your comments. Bhakti Devi, Hare Krishna, we see you, we love you. Hare Krishna. Suzanne Yogeshwari, Amrita Kishori Didi, Rama's iPhone, Amish Prabhu, Susan, Manjulali Didi, Sydney, Hare Krishna. Nachi, Ananda Manjari, Narayani, Preeti Chaturvedi, Hemangi, Vandan Patel, Hare Krishna. Aaron, Pink Yogi of Harlem, and Dana Kelly Das Prabhu. Thank you very much. We love you dearly. Come again tomorrow. Achyuta Gopi Devidasi Ki Jai. Abhiram Thakur's blessings Ki Jai. And all those children Ki Jai. They are fine. I have a feeling they're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna.